everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. My name is Dan Pardo, and this is Pardo's Turn. Although the format for today's episode's a little different, I wasn't able to get a guest secured for this week, but I promise we have some really fantastic people coming up. Be that as it may, I have some fun stuff to share with you. I hope you enjoy. Part of the reason why I wasn't able to film today was because I was otherwise occupied recording a podcast episode with two of my good friends from college, Sean Arajo and Dave Trum. Dave and I were actually college roommates for junior and senior year, and the two of them have had a podcast for the past year or so called Sean and Dave Make Music. It's really fantastic. I'll send it your way. And they basically bring on composers and other music makers and do some free improvisations and share the different work that they're each kind of pursuing at any given time. It's a lot of fun. I've been a fan for a long time. It was really great to be a guest today. I was also able to get some footage from down in the pit at Chester, where we're doing A Connecticut Christmas Carol at the Terris Theater. So I hope you enjoy that too, and some other odds and ends. So let's start off this Everything in the Kitchen Sink episode with a couple questions from you, my viewers. My buddy Ernie Jackson says, do you think there is value in today's academic environment for a dedicated music director degree? And just to let you know, Ernie is a professor of guitar over at Wagner College. Really great player, great musician. And to you, Ernie, I say, yeah, probably. Being a music director, as you know, is a very specialized skill. Not only do you have to be a good pianist, you have to be able to work with principal singers and work with choral singers and work with directors and possibly write some incidental music as it relates to underscores, scene changes, transitions, and become a makeshift dance arranger working with choreographers who want to have either an extended dance sequence or something that they may have heard on a cast album that they liked. Sometimes you have to reduce the orchestration from maybe the full 27 pieces down to 12, or from a modest size like 12 down to 5 or 6. And that involves some complicated keyboard writing. So there are a lot of different components besides the playing and the conducting, which may warrant their own graduate level program. And you're starting to see some of those pop up around the country. Penn State has a really great program that some of my friends have gone through, and they're doing wonderful things, conducting on the road and here in New York. My friend Becca asked, what's been the most difficult show you've conducted and why? Well, I've managed to steer clear of a lot of the notoriously difficult shows. I've never done a West Side Story, for example. I've never done Light in the Piazza. The only Sondheim I've done was Assassins in college as a rehearsal pianist, and Company last summer, which is more kind of pop-based. So at this point, the most difficult show I've probably done was How to Succeed, and that's not hard musically as much as it was just a big change for me. I'm foremost a pianist and experience music through my fingers. And that was the first time that I stick conducted the entire run. And not only did I conduct from the podium, but I also rarely played my own rehearsals. I had a wonderful music team, including Chris Ranney, who's the current associate music director over at Come From Away on Broadway. So I was just kind of in the chair and waving my arms, and that was very different from me. Yeah. Songs like Heart of Gold, which is in a slow 1, it's written in 3/4, but and you can't really feel it in your fingers. Plus, you have kind of some complicated sequences in that show, like Cinderella Darling and Rosemary, which has all the big concerto moments pulled from the Grieg piano concerto in A minor. So, my very loyal friend and viewer Mary asks, what are some songs that audiences love to hear, but orchestras and singers hate to play and sing? I kind of put this question into the category of what songs don't you like to hear at auditions? And to that, it's different for every person. If a song is great, and people like it, they probably like it for a reason. If it's overdone, maybe you'll have an aversion to it. There might be a specific kind of genre of musicals that are more commercially successful or more tailored and written for either international audiences or tourists, and maybe you'll find some actors that don't like to sing those pieces. Generally speaking, if you're playing music, it's a good day. So now let's go behind the scenes a little bit to the pit of A Connecticut Christmas Carol, which I am music directing and conducting at the Terris Theater in Chester, Connecticut. So here we are in the Chester pit. Usually it's a closed pit, but we're very lucky that Jay Hilton, our sound designer, in collaboration with Dan DeLange, our orchestrator, has decided to do an open pit. It's 5 pieces. Here's my chair. Mostly piano, but I do have a small MIDI controller along with main stage that I used for some Celeste patches, Glock, a little bit of synth guitar, but mostly it's actually triggers different sound effects and soundscape type things. Here, first in the pit today is our fantastic reed doubler, and more like reed, what's the word for 5 instruments? He has flute, clarinet, bass clarinet, tenor sax, and then just a little bit of piccolo. So it's been fun having all those different colors. In the corner we have the star of our pit. Everyone loves a live harp. So we have a couple different harp chairs, or one harp chair, but a couple different players because everyone loves harp at Christmas time, so they're busy. We have a percussion setup and then bass in the corner. So this is our bassist, David Yule, UHL, not like Yuletide, but it's appropriate for the Christmas season. Hey Dave.
Hey Dan.
Do you have mostly pizzicato, or is there some arco moments?
It's a pretty big mix. I got a lot of stuff with the bow and some stuff pizzicato. Pretty standard sort of material that our wonderful orchestrator Dan DeLange wrote, but
you're gonna hear that name a lot.
He's got a few funny bits. He wrote some false harmonics. So I have one little bit of stuff like that, but aside from that, it's really normal stuff.
Dave, I see this microphone sitting here. Does this eventually connect to your bass?
Standard sort of condenser microphone goes right in.
And do you keep it mic'd throughout the whole show?
Yep, it's on for the whole show.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Hey Marty, over your shoulder.
Hey,
so this is Marty Wirt, our fabulous drummer, percussionist, keyboardist. In this case, you can see a main stage setup for him too. So is it most of your show on kit? Or
I'd say there's a lot of toys and accessories.
Lots of jingle bells.
A fair amount of keyboard percussion played up here. And then you have some songs with drum kit grooves, 1 or 2 of them.
So I see a rain stick here, your keyboard, the all-important jingle bells for a Christmas show. Standard kit, 2 wood blocks, mounted tambourine. Was that bell tree and the mark tree in the corner? Cowbell. Is this your personal kit or is this Goodspeed?
This belongs to the theater. It's gorgeous and a joy to play on.
Annalise. So you played your first show today. I thought it went fantastic, so thank you for your preparation. Is this your first show over at Chester?
Yes, it is.
Okay, hopefully of many. I mean, I don't know how many times we have harp in the pit, but do you do a lot of musical theater, or is it mostly kind of concert work?
Well, I do a bit of both. Usually I do summer stock for the theater, and then during the concert season I do lots of concerts in the orchestral setting. So, yeah, but I mean, I've done theater on and off stage for many years, so I'm not a stranger.
Great. Well, thanks for joining us. This was a pleasure. This is our conductor camera. It stays on me throughout the show so people can look for cues backstage. There's also 2 monitors facing the stage so actors can see my cutoffs without staring down at the pit. Attached to the conductor camera are these little cue lights which blink when stage management needs to talk to me, and generally speaking I then go to my pit phone and take a call from Brad, our stage manager. Everyone wants a Christmas cocktail, or at least some wine and beer. Our very talented cast with the headshots on the wall. This is just a collage of some notable pieces that went through the Chester Theater. Some highlights here. It's the great Karen Mason, and Carolee Carmelo again, with my buddy Jimmy Ludwig. That was the world premiere of John and Jen. Nancy Anderson's here on the wall. You can see her in episode 2 of Pardo's Turn. She's here with John Shearer for By Jeeves. It's the green room. Everyone say hey! Yay! Oh, and Jeff Williams. Hey. So this is a very important part of the Chester experience. This is Simon's, I don't know what it's actually called, but it's called crack bread because it's so addictive. It's just a salted baguette. Just a salted baguette. It's fantastic. So both Andrew and Marty are educators, and one of Marty's students is having some problems with his bass clarinet. We're having a moment of consultation. It all happens live here before our 8 p.m. show. This is a master on-off switch for our stand lights, actually. Look, I'm going to mess with Dave. And that way, it's not really necessary in this show, but sometimes they want a total blackout, so they'll fade the stand lights from the light board, and that way they don't mess up with any other electronics, so it's on its own signal. Very important to keep the flute warm throughout the show. It's cold in the theater. It is December after all. And sometimes it's quite a bit of time before Andrew has to pick the horn up again. Hey Andrew, do you call flutes horns? Is that a thing?
I do. I don't know if it is a thing, but I do.
You can tell he's not a real flute player because he calls it a horn.
Candy canes and carols all aglow. Doing without is not permissible. 'Tis the season that you can't outgrow.
I also have some really great footage that I never aired with Nick Choksi, talking about what it's like to be an actor with a young child. So let's take a look at what he had to say. But you were recently approached to do the role with a friend who's directing, and you have other considerations now.
Yeah, I've got a little kid. I've got a little 18-month-old kid, Kaya. Hi, Kaya. We don't let her watch a lot of TV. She probably sees it. But yeah, it's in a whole new set of circumstances, and it's difficult sometimes to, you know, theater and art making and all this stuff. It's very everybody's got to be in the room, and that's very important. But I have less. My priority is my child, you know, and like having time with her and having resources for her, and like I can sacrifice the time with her if I'm generating resources for her, but I can't sacrifice the time with her like just any time I want to, you know. So it's a whole new set of circumstances, and
well, thank you for taking the time today.
Oh my gosh, my pleasure, my pleasure. But I mean, I can't like go out of town for a stretch of time.
Sure.
And that won't always be true. And I would go out of town if it was the right thing that would be like furthering my ability to work here. You know, all these things you have to consider before you get to the part of like, well, it'd be fun. You know, because there are a lot of things that I like could do that I thought that'd be so fun, but like. I can't do it. You know, I can't go to that concert at midnight down in Bowery with you guys because I got a kid. I got to wake up at 6 a.m. when she wakes up, no matter how late I stay up. But my friend Rachel Bonds, who's a great playwright and mother, little kid Quinn, who's 2 and so sweet and cute, she wrote this great article in a publication called Howl Round, talking about embracing parenthood as a circumstance of working artists, and very often it's seen as even subconsciously as an impediment versus like your humanity is expounded in a certain way. How can we foster getting you the space to come to work? Like sometimes you do a workshop, or she says in the article she would do like a regional production of a show that she wrote, but her whole writer's stipend would go to, you know, getting a rental car because she had to have a certain car seat, and getting the crib, and getting somebody to come and take care of Quinn, and like at that point she's paying to do a show, and then it feels like she's, I don't know, donating to the theater in a way versus like giving the theater an opportunity to get, you know, people to come and fill some seats. So it's a whole new metric, but you know, just gotta do it.
Picture turkey and stuffing lots of sweet candied yams and a big piece of gooseberry pie.
Santa's big belly shakes like jellies and jams when he's laughing and flying off into the sky.